message is for all you home sellers out there. Your home does not have to be perfect to sell, but buyers do need to understand what they're walking into. This is Jason Valentine with Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty, and I want to talk to you about something very practical. Your home doesn't have to be perfect to stand out in the market. Every home has some sort of issue, whether it needs flooring, or the roof's a little bit older, or maybe the windows need attention, or maybe there's just repairs that simply the seller doesn't want to do before listing the property. That's okay. But here's the key. We need to remove the uncertainty from the buyer. Buyers get nervous when they see issues, but they do not know what those issues cost. If a buyer walks into a home and sees a repair, their mind often goes to the worst case scenario. A $3,000 issue might feel like a $15,000 problem if the buyer doesn't have the right information. And that's why estimates matter. If we know the home has an issue, one strategy is to get an appropriate estimate before we list, or at least early on in the process. That doesn't always mean that the seller has to complete the repair, but it gives us information. And now we can tell a story about your house more clearly. Instead of the buyer guessing, we can say, hey, here's the known issue, and here's what the estimate is from the qualified professional to get it repaired. And that creates confidence. It also helps the home stand out against competing listings that might have issues that don't have that information. Because buyers aren't just comparing price, they're comparing risk, condition, they're comparing how much work the home might need, and they're comparing whether the seller seems prepared and reasonable to sell. A home with issues can still be attractive if the buyer understands the opportunity. So maybe the price reflects the repair, or maybe you offer a seller concession for the cost of the repair. Maybe the repair estimate helps the buyer plan a little bit better, and maybe the buyer decides they're comfortable with handling after closing. But without the information, the buyer might simply move on. So sellers, do not assume every issue on your house is going to kill the transaction. A bigger problem is often uncertainty. A prepared seller can say, hey, we know what this is, we have information, we have priced or positioned the home accordingly. That is a much stronger position than hoping the buyer doesn't notice. And the goal is to make your home easier to choose, even if it's not perfect. That comes from preparation, consistency, estimates, strategy, and of course, proper positioning. So if you're thinking about selling and your home has some repair or conditional issues, let's talk before you list. We can identify what should be fixed, what should be estimated, and how to position the home to stand out in today's market. This is Jason Valentine with Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty. If you want to get a hold of me, there is a link in the description on this video, or you can give me a call, 505-863-4363 or 575-496-1068. Even if your home's not perfect, we can still get it sold. You just got to make it a compelling story. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.